let's go ahead and get to 4 downs with our Torchbearers report card and the blame pie. 4 downs is right now, and it is, boom, happening.
4 downs. 4 questions. 4 answers. The Dave Hooker Show.
4
downs. A presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
4 downs brought to you by Hound Dogs of Knoxville. Champions look good in orange. HDKnoxville.com. HDKnoxville.com. All of the licensed memorabilia that you expect, and it's right there, Hound Dogs of Knoxville, or you can order online, HDKnoxville.com. What down is it, Cooper Mays?
Coop here, first down.
What should people do, Coop?
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
All right, let's start with the Torchbearers, Caleb. Who were the best players for the Vols in the loss to Arkansas?
All right, so number 5, and this was a collective for the defensive line, and I don't care what happened at the end of that game where they gave up that last drive. They were gassed. But I'm going to say Bryson Eason, who did get hurt, was a torchbearer. He did have 2 tackles. He was involved on assisting in a tackle for a loss, was very much a part of blowing up the plays, and Tennessee may have given up that long drive because he was out at the end.
Yep, no argument.
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
Well, no, not second down. You gotta, hey now, or that's crazy to me. I gotta go through the other 4.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. All right. I think that's a very good pick. Hey now. All right. Who's next?
All right. Number 4 is Keenan Peely. And I think Keenan Peely was great. Stayed at home a lot of the time. Had 14 tackles, 4 of which were solo.
Hey now. He's really good. I knew he was going to be. Go ahead.
Number 3, Arian Carter. Now, Arian Carter was out of position on 1 passing play, but outside of that, he was incredible. Should have had a safety play.
I can't go there. That play ended up extending a drive, and I thought that was one of the 5 most important plays of the game, so I can't agree with you there. He's got to play the flat there. He sunk deep. It was when Arkansas was at their own end, about a half yard out of the end zone. I can't go there. That's just too massive a mistake in my head to make him a torchbearer.
So the 1.5 tackles for a loss and pass deflection and him being in on so many other plays doesn't make up for it?
No, because that's practically a turnover because they're going to punt there deep in their own end zone. So I can't roll with you there, but that's fine. We don't always agree.
All right. Well, number 2 is James Pierce Jr., who, by the way, was awesome in this game.
Hey now. Got no problem with that.
Yeah, sack, 2 tackles for a loss. He was incredible. And number 1 was Dylan Sampson, player of the game, 22 carries for 138 yards. And by the way, I misjudged him in pass pro. Dylan Sampson was very clear Tennessee missed him when Deshaun Bishop was in because he missed on a block. And also, Dylan Sampson picked up a block. I counted 3 times, Dave, where Dylan Sampson picked up a block because Lance Hurd or John Campbell royally screwed up.
Hey now. Agreed. I had a buddy of mine who was an offensive lineman, and he just mentioned on Facebook, what about having Bishop and Sampson to each side? Now, I think 12 personnel is the way to go to protect Nico, but that's not the most horrible idea to have 2 running backs back there. I just don't know that Josh Heupel is going to bend his philosophy that much. So second down is a report card, Caleb. Is that where we are?
We're going to go report card for second down.
Oh, there's Jacob Warren. Hey, Jacob.
What's up, everybody? This is Jacob Warren asking you to like, subscribe, and share. Dave needs this.
He does.
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
All right, second down, the report card. And we'll get to blame pie. Report card, and what do you got? I imagine you're going to start with Nico.
Quarterback is a D+, and Nico made a couple of nice plays. Maybe I'm too harsh, Dave, but it's definitely a below-average game.
Hey now. Oh, I think having him in the D range is actually a little bit generous. I don't think it's all his fault. I want to be clear on that, but the play in and of itself, it's not going to win you many road football games. Now, maybe that's play calling, maybe it's not getting over the middle, maybe it's all that, but I got concerns with Nico now that I didn't have before, especially on the final play. All right, Caleb, who's next?
Running backs are an A-. Now, you could say A+, but honestly, that missed block by Deshaun Bishop that killed a drive, I can't look past that. That was a really bad missed block, so A-.
Got no problem with that.
Wide receivers, and this is going to be controversial, I'm going to say B. People are going to blame them for lack of separation. I don't think they had many options on what they could do. I think they were limited. I think they did as well as they possibly could, given the situation.
Listen, Tennessee got out foxed. They blitzed. Arkansas blitzed when Tennessee didn't expect it. They dropped into coverage most of the time. So I'm going to agree with you. I didn't think they got open but it's hard to get open when you're able to double up some guys. There were a lot of double teams going on. That was the case in the longest pass when Dante Thornton made a play. So I got no argument with you there. You have to be more creative in getting the ball over the middle, I believe, or the receivers aren't going to be open on the outside. Who's next?
Yeah, and by the way, just big credit to Travis Williams, the Arkansas defensive coordinator. That's one of the best call games I've ever seen by a coordinator with how he confused Nico. But
Defensive coordinator, yes.
Defensive coordinator, yeah. All right, Dave, this is my hot take. I don't care that Miles Kitselman had 2 catches for 24 yards. Tight ends get enough. That was a horrible game by Kitselman in Holden States. Horrible.
That's crazy.
To me, it's more like a D. I wouldn't give anybody an F. As a matter of fact, I think if you're going to give the tight ends an F, you would have to give Nico an F, because I don't think that their play was any worse than his. However, there were penalties, and I'll tell you this, I do believe firmly that on the one pass where Nico tried to get it to Kitselman and it was a little out route, I think that Kitselman extended that down the field, and he's got to run that sharp and out. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I know exactly the one you're talking about. Yes.
I think that's a bad route. So that's on him.
That was a terrible route. He was stuck into double coverage. Now, Nico missed, I think it was Dante Thornton open down the sideline for what would have been a touchdown at that point. But you're right. Kitselman, and he broke on the route too late. Not only that, he did miss a block. He picked up a couple of pre-snap penalties. That was a horrible game for Miles Kitselman, honestly.
Okay. I just wouldn't go quite F, but it was bad. All right. What else?
Offensive line, it's a D. And Cooper Mays, Javonte Spraggins, and Andre Carrick get an A for their second half performance. Their first half performance, though, was I'd say nullified. It was kind of a wash. I don't really blame them, Arkansas, but Arkansas did get a lot of pressure with putting 5 up front. And then the tackles is like an F minus to the point where John Campbell and Lance Hurst should, like, honestly, you should be allowed to pull their scholarships.
Or their NIL money. Who's next?
All right. Next.
There goes that Campbell's soup endorsement for John.
Defensive line gets a B+. Now, I know that last drive is the only reason it's not an A, because it was a backup quarterback. I know they were gassed, they were tired, but when you need to make finish one more drive to win a game, I think you got to do it. So I got to go B+ for them on that.
Hey now.
I'm good with that. And I will remind you of this. I think at times from defensive linemen I've talked to, it's actually more tiring to make sure that you corral a running quarterback than it is just to pin your ears back and go after a dude. So I think they were gassed at the end of the game, and I don't care if they go 28 deep. I mean, that Arkansas had the ball way too long. I think over 12 minutes in the first quarter. Who's next?
Yep. Linebackers. Now, maybe you disagree because of that Aaron Carter mistake, but I'm still going A-. Keenan Peele was great. And also Jeremiah Thielander. Did you see the way he stayed at home on that 4th down stop in the first half? That's one of the most heads-up plays I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
That's crazy.
But I'm still going to disagree with it just because the Aaron Carter thing was practically a turnover on defense.
All right.
All right. So I would still give him a B. We're not far off. Where were you? Where were you again?
I was A-.
Okay. I'd go B-, but based off that one play. Go.
All right, defensive backs are C. Now, people are going to be very critical. They were 21 of the 2 quarterbacks together were 21 of 30 for 297 yards, which is nearly 10 yards an attempt. And Tennessee's secondary had no interceptions. But honestly, Dave, rewatching it, Taylor Green dropped some dimes, and I don't know if there was any defense for it.
He did, and he didn't have to make a lot of plays. He had to make 2 or 3 to change the game, and he made 2 or 3 that changed the game.
Yep. And all right, and running through special teams real quick. It was very unimpactful, largely because Josh Alba didn't give him a chance, but place kicking is an A+. Unfortunately for Tennessee, it didn't matter. Punting, C+. Jackson Ross, honestly, this game came down to field position, and Jackson Ross lost the field position battle to Arkansas punter.
He did.
I mean,
it was silly too. He didn't need to do it. Talking about the running into the punter. It was absolutely.
Well, no. I'm talking about Jackson Ross, the punter, lost the field position battle to Arkansas's punter.
Okay, gotcha. But are you including special teams and?
That's the return game, and the return game gets a D- specifically because of Jordan Ross running into that punter right there. That was stupid.
Yep. No, I agree. He's a freshman, but you have to know better in that situation. And let's face it, Tennessee didn't know the situation in a lot of key moments that is troubling. It's just like when you were really in Little League, Caleb. Did you play baseball in Little League?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You remind everybody the situation. Remember, 2 outs, 2 outs, 2 outs. Remember, 1 out, 1 out. You know, I mean, you've got to. I don't understand how that's not communicated, that you just can't run into the punter at that point. Sure, I know you blocked a punt and scooped and scored against Chattanooga, but this game's way different. Caleb, who's next, or does that do it for the report card?
Totally agree. Before we get to third down, I'm going to do coaching, and that's enough. Coaching is enough. Josh Heupel was horrible in this game.
Okay, I can't argue with that.
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
All right, third down is Caleb the Blame Pie. How do you see the Blame Pie going around?
All right, I'm starting with not Jordan, but Jackson Ross gets a 3% because he's a rugby Australian punter. You got to, if it's a field position game, Dave, Josh Heupel doesn't like to be in those games, but if he is, he thought he could rely on Jackson Ross to win those battles, and he didn't. Arkansas won that game because they got field position at the end.
Yeah, but that was, I thought Jordan Ross flipped it. I don't think, though, that was the turning point in the game, which it may have been your turning point. I think Tennessee still had plenty of time to buck up late, but they didn't. That was still with 14 and a half minutes left in the game, if I'm correct there. Yeah,
well, I'll get to Jordan Ross, but Jackson Ross just gets a 3% because he needs to win those punting battles with the Arkansas punter. Okay. He's the best punter in the SEC. Interior offensive line. Now, maybe this is a hot take, but I am going to go 3% for the interior, only because they made some first half mistakes. Andre Carrick was downfield on a block that nullified a first down. Javonte Spraggins missed the block. Tennessee couldn't really run the ball in the first half, and so you got to blame the interior offensive line slightly. So 3%.
I think that's a little bit of a reach, but okay.
Deshaun Bishop, 5%, and that is because he missed that block that killed a drive. You can't do that.
Well, to me, that falls under coaching and recruiting, because you don't have another guy that's ready to go. He's a walk-on. He's doing the best he can, but you put him in that position. So I understand where you're coming from, but to me, that falls more under coaching.
Well, we will get to coaching.
Okay.
Miles Kitselman, 5%. Way too many mistakes at tight end, honestly.
No argument there. Who's next?
Jordan Ross, 10%. That one mistake was worth 10% of a mistake because it was such a bad mistake.
I agree, but it's not 30 to 40 to 50% like some people want you to believe. All right, go ahead.
No, but it's a Raheem Moore for the Broncos letting Jacoby Jones get behind him when Joe Flacco threw that Hail Mary pass in 2012. So it's that type of mistake. Nico Iamaleava, Dave, you can tell me if I'm being too easy on him, but I went up to 15%. He's behind the top two, but he's still at 15%.
Again, this all falls under coaching, that they didn't have the right plan. And they talked about they're facing a 3-3, and that befuddled them. Well, they had faced it 2 other times against Oklahoma and NC State. So to me, that's going to fall under coaching. So I'm going to disagree with you there, Peyton.
They're like, that is total bullshit.
But I get where you're coming from. Go ahead.
All right. Well, and then the top two at 32% each. Funny enough, and you'll laugh at that number, but it's because I got 6% at the beginning. But the top two at 32% each are offensive tackles and Josh Heupel. Each individual, Josh Heupel and offensive tackles each share 32% of the blame, get the lion's share of the blame.
Okay, so who do you blame most? I've got offensive tackles in the blame pie, Nico Iamaleava or coaching, and then other. Comment below. We'll set that as our poll question, as you can take part in that right now. Coming up, we're going to get
what's fourth down. Wait, we need fourth down.
Oh, sorry. Okay, fourth down.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. Fourth down.
Sorry. Portions of the program brought to you by our good friends at the UPS store Hardin Valley, here to help individuals and small businesses by offering a wide range of products and services, locally owned and operated, conveniently located at 10629 Hardin Valley Road. The link is right below, and they're fantastic. All right, Caleb, who's next?
Fourth down is, I am just going to ask, do you think do the positives from the 5 torchbearers, can they outweigh the negatives in this game long term?
Oh, good question. Do I have to answer that now, or can I take a minute?
I'm going to say no, because the Heupel offense is built too much on quarterbacks. So if Nico Iamaleava doesn't perform, then it doesn't matter what Dylan Sampson and the rest of them do.
Okay, I'll agree with you on that.